Magick, a show about work, a very particular magical kind of work. We're going to explore the mystery behind the magic of the etheric, energetic realms through the people who practice these healing arts. How do they show their work, do their jobs, and explore the unseen? That's what this show is about. Today, we're really lucky. We have Beth Ann Kennedy with us. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, gosh, what a treat. What a pleasure. Beth Ann is a professional crystal healer, psychic medium, and teacher of the intuitive arts. She has been a psychic from a young age. Beth Ann has trained extensively as a healer, crystallizing in crystal healing and intuition. You also research, develop, and instruct others in these crystal healing techniques, right?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a question.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, this is the first question. How would you describe your work?
My work is the nature of helping people get more in touch with themselves through different vehicles of looking within. It's about taking people inward and understanding the enormity of the unconscious, the energy field, who they are, why they do what they do, and helping them work through things such as personal issues, physical ailments, social issues, understanding their intuition, their spirituality, their soul, sort of can go in a lot of different directions.
Right.
So
basically what ails them.
Basically what ails them, but also people really want to know who they are. They want to know why they're here. They want to know why the things that happen to them, and they want to know how to take everything they have in life and to make it better, or feel more connected, or feel more integrated or aligned, or understand why they have certain relationships. You know, why is my mother this way? Why is my father this way? Why do I have these feelings inside of me?
Right.
And so I work with people to the point of, I guess you could call it the unseen, or the other, or the sacred self. I mean, there's so many words to describe it.
The entities that you're working with.
Not even just the entities that I'm working with, but just the soul. I mean, I've started to look at a person is like they're their own planet, they're their own solar system. Yeah. There's so many wonderful and frightening and amazing things inside of a person that, you know, it's sort of like we don't even know it's at the bottom of our ocean, and a person's soul is very much the same way. And you know, when you get in there, you can find these wonderful, like, finite things that really drive someone and they didn't even know were there. You know, it's sort of like these things, this whole thing that makes up a person's personality, a whole person's personality is sort of like hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
So it's not even so much about what spirits are around them. I mean, that's a wonderful thing, but it's like, it's this great mystery, the bigger picture, who they are, why they're here.
Who's the essence?
Who's the essence?
Right.
You know, that sort of thing. That's what I do in a nutshell, I guess. So, yeah.
It's a big nutshell.
It's a giant nutshell. It's huge.
What gave you the impetus to do what you do?
I feel like I've always been interested in that question. I remember as a kid sitting around going, I want to know the truth about why we're here. Like, I don't care about anything else but, like, what's the point of all this? Like, why are we alive? And so I sort of followed that, and my life really, every events in my life just dovetailed into this sort of, I guess you would call it a search for understanding of consciousness. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, from what I studied in school, like I studied Asian art history, and it was like I was so called to it, and now I realized it was like I was just studying alternative forms of spirituality. Like, everything I read, everything I picked, the people that found me, the experiences I had, they all just led down this road. I mean, it was, you know, there was never any sort of question, I think, but it took me 30 years to be able to articulate that this was happening.
To own
it.
Right.
People will be like, what are you going to do with everything you're studying? I'll be like, I don't know, but I know it's going to lead somewhere. I mean, so it was almost like I followed this weird feeling that I couldn't explain to anybody, which is hard when you're young because people ask you what you're going to do. They want an answer. What are you going to be? architect.
Yeah, what are you going to do with this degree?
What are you going to do with this degree? What are you going to do with your life?
What are you going to do with this money I spent?
Yeah, right. It's a lot. You know, it's not cheap to do that, and so you know,
it's not cheap to follow a feeling.
It's not cheap to follow a feeling. My poor parents were like, you know, but I sort of just knew it was always just there, and you know.
Is there a lineage, a family?
Well,
lineage?
My mother was always, you know, we sort of had to go to Catholic school because that was what was around us, but we weren't even really that Catholic or anything. We weren't Catholic, but we went there, and my mother, I'd come home from school, and my mother would be like, "What'd you learn?" I'd be like, "They taught us this in religion class." She'd be like, "You don't have to believe that if you don't want to." She's reading like Shirley MacLaine and talking about chakras and past lives, and so she was like, go to the psychic fair. And you know, my dad, who was very closed off in that way, once told me that he dreamt about everything. He dreamt about everyone and everything before it happened, and like he had like these amazing psychic abilities. But you know, he's from a time where you don't talk about it.
Right.
He's a man.
Yeah, that toxic masculinity.
It's like John Wayne.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't have feelings, let alone psychic dreams.
Psychic abilities. But he knew, and he exercised his. He would win a lot when he would gamble. Like he just knew when to play. So that was how he found it. So it's there, and I mean, I even think my grandmother, like with my grandmother's, I always think it's there, but it was just not discussed.
Right.
You know, it wasn't, you know, we live in such a different time now where you can, you know, have so huge social media accounts talking about whatever. And
you can be a witch.
You can be a professional witch, and, you know, you can
not necessarily be killed.
National television and talk about it, and people love it, where it was not like that for them. So, come a long way.
How do you get in the flow of your work?
Well, I've had to really change my lifestyle, but I can...
What do you mean?
Well, I used to have a lot of fun when I was younger, really social life, and I, you know, love to go out and drink and party and all sorts of things like that. And I can't really do that so much anymore. But I eat healthier, and so I can just sort of do it.
Are you in it all the time?
I'm in it all the time. I want to live a life where I have one foot in the physical reality and one foot in the spirit world. I want to be connected all the time.
Right.
Because it's not just about my work, it's about how I live my life.
Yeah, it's for you.
I mean, I want to be able to know things. Like, I want to be able to, insights about everything during the day. And
do you have that? You want that? Do you have that?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah.
But it's taken years of work to get there. I mean, I really had to change behaviors, relationships, you know, lifestyle. I have to live in a very specific way to get that. And I do have it.
Right.
When
you had to change behaviors, is one of those, I'm going to jump into another question, is one of those honesty? Because you mentioned to me that you have absolute honesty.
Well, I try. I do as best as I can. You know, I mean,
it's actually harder than you think.
It's you know, they're relative too. There's scales of it, but yeah, I'm very honest with myself and direct as I possibly can. And especially the older I get and the more defined I get in who I am, I can't lie to myself like I used to be able to.
Right.
You know, which sometimes is like a bummer because you're
like,
a bummer. You know, that's like, I liked that person, but they weren't really good for me, so they have to go away. So being able to be authentic with, you know, relationships and people and all of that,
or the way we really are,
the way we really
perceive
the way we
ourselves.
really are. I would definitely say that that's the case. So yeah, I'm honest, and I think that I'm that way in my work. Like when I do psychic readings, for example, you know, you do get people that want to hear a specific answer, and I'm not good at that. I tell it how it is, which is, I think, lends to an authenticity in my work. I give them the real answer regardless of what people want to hear or not.
Well, did that kind of being more honest, it must have been hard in relationships, obviously, because you can't then be with everyone. Or be friends with everyone.
You can't. No.
It does kind of limit. It contracts like a certain type of world. But did that help you have this experience where you were one foot in this world,
this world, one foot in the other. Yeah, I think it's a great. it's difficult to be confronted with truth.
Mm-hmm.
We're sort of taught. I mean, we're taught, like, if you take it, for example, the social aspect of
Right.
it, we're taught to be polite,
Mm-hmm.
which I've kind of discerned is like a socialized passive aggressiveness.
Yeah.
it's like but,
Right.
and so how do you get around being polite to someone and the concept of not hurting someone, but also being direct and honest with them at the same time? So you have to sort of temper it, there's no sort of formulaic version of like how to do this all the time. You have to be able to read the situation and know sort of when to move or when to say this or how to
Right.
do that and still maintain, the respect of yourself.
Like an integrity. Are you getting things all the time now?
Yeah, I get stuff all the time.
Does that exhaust you or does it energize you?
Well, there's definitely, I think that it doesn't exhaust me. I want to know the truth. I want to know, like, the meat of the situation. I just, it's easier. You save yourself so much time, even if you get an answer you don't like. It's like that's not, you hear, oh, that's not going to work out. You go, oh, it's a bummer, but it's like, okay, I can move on from that and move on to this.
Right. Well, but that would require a level of acceptance that some of us don't have.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's for everyone.
Yeah.
This is the way I live my life. So,
when you work with guides, right?
I do work with spirit guides. When I give readings, I have my main spirit guide takes over and uses my voice. And people can say, oh, your voice sounded different. He does use that. I know, but I have other ones.
Yeah.
And then they work with other people's spirit guides who are coming to see me. So we got like a whole meeting going on. So, but yeah, they give me information and I have different guides that I work with for different things.
What do they tell you about yourself and your work? Anything that has ever shocked you? Or totally surprised you?
Spirit guides' job is essentially, they have a lot of different jobs, but it's mainly to keep you safe and to help you learn your lessons. So sometimes they put you in situations that you have to figure out, like you have to get out of things, like you have to learn. I mean, a big part of why we're here is to learn.
Right.
And so if you're always avoiding every situation, you're not learning anything. So sometimes they're like, yeah, why don't you go do that and see how it turns out? And I'm like, that's never a good sign when they say that to me.
Right.
I'm like, you're setting me up. But for the most part, they give me really clear guidance and advice, and sometimes I hear it directly, other times I have to meditate for it. There's different ways of going about it. And I'm a person that I have a lot of questions. Like, I want to know a lot of information.
Right.
So I'm always
for
asking,
instance, what?
I mean, even just the eternal stuff, like those goes back to like, what are the deeper levels of who are we, why we're here, why does that happen?
What are the deeper levels?
I have sort of come to the idea that, people are very much in tune with what's going on in this lifetime.
Right.
But people learn lessons over a series of lifetimes. And so it's sort of interesting now. It's like when I see someone going through something and I go, what are they doing with that? And I go, it's going to take them 250 years, like, to figure that out. Like, I look at things now as like, people take long periods of time to learn things, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years.
The arc is long.
It's very long. And so you sort of go in and out, and our lives mirror that. I mean, we've had lifetimes within lifetimes. I mean, if you think about, especially the older you are, it's like you look back at 20, 30, 40 years ago, you go, oh my God, I was like, I don't even relate to that person anymore. You have like lifetimes within lifetimes, and then there's entrances and exits and all that sort of thing.
It's kind of the micro, this lifetime mirroring the
bigger thing. Yeah. And so to be able to look at it, and I always think the higher philosophy is, taking the higher philosophy and looking at the big picture really is very relieving to people in that way.
Do you think, I feel that it might be depressing? Like for me to think, oh man, I've got to still learn this, I've got to come back.
Yeah.
Can't I just be
Come on.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I think when you really get into the study of consciousness, you become excited by those things you don't know. You go, ooh, I want to figure that out.
Right.
And you know, that's sort of like studying physics. Like, it's not everybody wants to do it. Like, oh God. So it depends on the person. Like for me, I think it's fascinating. I'm like, oh, I want to know that. And for somebody else, they were like, can I just live my life without this long sort of thing pressing down on me? So I think it depends on the person. You know, if you find that sort of thing exciting, like I don't find advanced mathematics exciting, but there are people out there who really do, and I respect that. And they help my life in different ways. That's their specialty. So this is my specialty, and I hope I get it to people. The advanced sort of consciousness questions. Beth Ann Kennedy.
Right. Everything will be revealed.
Everything will be revealed eventually. Yeah.
Just you wait.
Yeah.
10,000 years.
10,000 years.
Just one epic and you will know.
Yeah, they'll show up eventually.
Is there then a collective consciousness?
I believe so, yeah. It's hard to, it's such a big, I believe we're all connected into something bigger, and I've sort of seen it and I felt it, and there's even degrees of that. There's the higher collective consciousness, and then there's the human collective consciousness. And I mean, I think that manifests itself in things like the internet and like the social media. Like there's a social media that's just like chat rooms. You can sort of see the reflections of it, you know, from the dimensions all the way down into the physical. But yeah, there is a collective consciousness, and I feel like souls, like they sort of split and they mimic cells and things like that. And
souls split?
Yeah, they can, I think.
You think?
Yeah, they can. Like that's how you can have a spirit stuck in a room, but you can also talk to its higher self, and it's living other lifetimes at one time, things like that. I think some people are living multiple lifetimes on the earth at one time.
Purposefully?
Yeah. Like a lot of times a big one that I've seen, and I've seen it with past lives, is like someone will be, a good example is like there'll be the person in one lifetime will be a slave, like for example a slave in the South, and they're also a soldier for the South. No, for the South. They're living on opposite sides of the same lesson at the same time, trying to learn the lessons from it. Faster.
So they don't have to come back.
I mean, I think everybody, if you think about it, you understand what everybody's seen what a fragmented person looks like.
Yeah.
They're just like, they feel like a piece. I mean, they're not functional. They have a lot of maybe mental health issues.
I'm thinking of someone right now.
Yeah, you can, they're like a piece. They're not a fully formed person. They broke off of somebody else, and they're sort of starting their own thing. The things that exist in nature exist inside the soul.
What do you mean?
Every phenomenon that exists in nature can happen with the human consciousness. It is what we know to be. We cannot break away from this concept.
Right.
Every phenomenon that happens in nature can happen to some degree inside of our consciousness, because we live in the same plane with it, so we can do it. It's not nature's over here doing this weird thing and we're over here. We're doing it. We're just doing it in a different way.
Yeah. But sometimes we're doing it in a literal way.
We're doing it in a literal way. We're doing it in a metaphorical way. You know, this is sort of that idea. That's the way I look at it.
Then what would be, say, well, first of all, does evil exist? I mean, if we're talking about fragmented people.
That's a big question. Well,
or as an entity.
We live in a, so okay, let me back that up. So what I have come to see is just as an observer, is that we live in a world with duality.
Right.
You know, there's good, bad, light, dark, wisdom, ignorance. However, whatever culture you're associated with defines that in a different way. So evil is sort of, the word is defined, you know, by Western culture. You know, the religious idea is a religious term. But yes, dark, I don't like to use the word darkness. It's like, we'll say absence of light.
Right.
Absence of light exists. There are negative entities out there. There are forces that are that work against it, but then at the same time there's a light so bright that, you know, it defies human understanding and imagination. And, you know, the thing we're given is free will and understanding our conscious choices, and once again that takes thousands of years to understand.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
well, have you seen these dark entities or
yeah, they're around. Yeah, they're around, and sometimes they get, you know, you can find them on people. You got to clear them off and things like that. But yeah, they're around. I mean,
do they scare you?
No,
No?
I'm not really scared of them.
Or what are you scared of?
I roll with a powerful crew. Pretty protected.
Your posse.
Yeah. The posse on the other side.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I mean. You know, think about it. I mean, we know evil exists all the time. I mean, if it's like, but I think the biggest thing, and you know, and I'm saying this on a general term, if someone's coming to me with acute trauma, you know, I'm not going to say this to them, but it's like there always ends up being some form of higher learning out of it, but it can take years. To get to it. I mean, sometimes I think lower vibrational entities are assigned to people because, you know, there's the angel and the devil on the shoulder kind of concept, and you have to choose if are you going to steal that, or are you going to pay for it?
Right.
Are you going to be mean to this person, or are you going to say something positive? You're constantly making a choice. You know, you're constantly having to make a choice, and for some people, their whole lives is just around starting out not being that great of a person to moving into being a better person.
Do you think that that person, that these people who are not that great to begin with, do you think that they are that way partly because they are just listening to this, they've got this lower energy person attached to them and they're following that, and then eventually the light that's so bright comes in?
I think once again we're going back to the age of the soul. Like, I think it has to do with how much a soul knows and understands, to where it's like, you know, it was sort of like I came in with this really strong understanding that it's really bad to steal things. And then I had this realization that I was a really great thief in another lifetime, but I ended up in like jail or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's just going to cause me trouble if I do it that way. So sometimes it's just like logic, like, but the soul doesn't understand that when it's young. It's sort of like as an infant, you don't know not to put your finger in a electric socket.
That's the point of
And that's consciousness is very much like that. Sometimes people have to do things over and over and over again for multiple lifetimes before they go, that is not working out for me.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that a lot. I think a really good one is sort of like drug use and things like that, or you know, people who just innately know, they're like, I just know I don't ever want anything to do with opiates, and that's like, well, you know, and then you go back and you take them into a past life, and they died of in an opium den or something like that, but they were born this lifetime going, well, I'm not doing that again.
Right.
So sometimes there's a lot of that.
Do you have clients that come in and you're like, that's a new soul? Or would a new soul not really be attracted to this kind of work? It's kind of...
They don't stick around very long because I'm sort of there I'm both an encourager and an anchor. So, you know, if we go back to the duality, even in human, you have the role of the feminine and the role of the masculine. You know, the feminine energy is associated with the compassion and the love and encouragement, and it's okay. And then the paternal's like, you can do this. So it's like, you know, there's a sort of archetypal gender roles. We'll take it to that. And so when you put yourself in that position, I have to be both for people. I have to be like, you know, we're recovering a trauma, you're healing from a trauma, you know, being supportive to this person, but also when they come in and they feel disempowered, I'm like, you can do it.
Right.
So at some point, if a person really doesn't want to learn that, they'll butt up against that energy in me, and it's like they won't.
They're not ready for it.
They're not ready for it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think your journey this lifetime is? Have you gotten intimation of that?
Sometimes I think
you have a sign.
Like, yeah. God's name is just happening.
Right. Why are you? Why am I?
Why am I here? I feel like I'm very much here to do this work. I I got the message that I burned off some karma that allowed me to come back in and live, you know, it's a hard, you know, everybody has hard things happen in this lifetime, but this lifetime is not that hard. I'm not like in a war-torn country fleeing for my life.
Or in prison.
I mean? Or I'm not in prison, you know, it's like, you know, it's a pretty, if you work hard and focus and, you know, you have enough intact here, you can get somewhere with some of it here, and especially in this space, in this country, in this time. So I definitely feel like I'm a teacher. I also feel like I've never had a lifetime being a successful woman who's ever supported herself. This is the first lifetime where I've had a lot of opportunity to be able to be a woman and be successful, both personally, financially, be independent. I don't feel that all the elements have ever come together. I feel like I've always had to be dependent on someone. You know, you have to work, and unfortunately for many women, if you wanted a job, it wasn't doing something, you know, it's like working in unsavory positions. And I feel like in this lifetime, I got that. I'm not dependent on anybody else. I just I support myself. So that's
kind of a main mission.
It's a main mission for me. Yeah,
that's a good one.
It's
independent.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, final question. What's something hopeful you've learned or received, or a message you received from your guides, the universe, from, you know, walking in both worlds as you do?
I feel like even though there's great suffering on this planet, there's also great beauty and great joy and great opportunity for so many lovely things to happen. We live in a time where you see people are like, oh, all these terrible things are happening, and but the truth is that the world's always been that way. We just have more access to it because of TV and the internet and all that. It's not changed. I think the hopeful thing is like you can choose your experiences, and that's, once again, that's a gradation according to the person, where they are with their personal development. But you can choose to be happy, or you can choose, you can choose to see the beauty in the world. You can choose to see the positivity in the world. You can choose to be grateful, or not. And so it's not like everything. There's no purpose for anything that happens here. You can always extract some learning and some sort of growth from it. And I think that, and it's very beautiful here.
It is very beautiful.
It's very beautiful here, and the food is delicious.
If you have the opportunity,
you can eat. Yes, you have to manage, but
with this other world that you straddle, right? Can all of us enter that? Can all of us?
I mean, it's not
one easy trick.
Well, it's sort of, you're talking about dimensions,
right?
And wherever your personal frequency is, even throughout your life, kind of helps you wherever you're going to end up afterwards. You know, if you're sort of a horrible person and do all these horrible things to people, and then you pass on, you know, something like, I'm gonna go, you know, end up in super high vibration. You probably are gonna have to cycle through a few things.
That's comfort first,
if you live a good life with as much integrity as you can, which once again is a gradation depending on the person, then you know you're gonna probably end up fine. If you're some sort of horrible scoundrel that is just like, you know, partly sociopathic and trying to destroy people your whole life, I'm not certain you're going to end up after you pass a great place.
Or be able to straddle both worlds.
Be able to straddle both worlds. It's going to take you 4,000 years to figure that out or something like that.
Well, good luck to them.
Yeah, I mean, not my problem.
Yeah, not my problem. Unless they come to see you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Beth Ann. This was really enlightening and interesting.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.